What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing excellent, taking care of yourselves. Man, today we've got an excellent one for you. We're going to talk about Goldie Hawn's experience with an extraterrestrial triangular-headed being, and not just one, but up to three. So this is really fascinating because there's multiple different alien species that have triangular heads, and I want to see which one she got into and engaged with. Not to mention the fact that her husband, Kurt Russell, was the one that saw the 1997 Phoenix Lights and reported it while he was in flight. So the question is, are these guys connected with aliens somehow? Are the aliens wanting to reach out to Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell? Are they some sort of ambassadors, or are they just merely humans that just had an extraterrestrial experience? Well, we're going to get into it and find out what more we can find. So, hey, guess what? Welcome to you. Welcome to everybody else. Welcome to Everything Zen Bigfoot. Welcome aboard. I'm going to introduce you to my dais. This is my buddy. He's always hanging out with me. He's on the 11th dimension today. It is November 1st. We've got 11, right? 11. All right. So anyway. Forgive me, it's early. We have Baby Alien. We've got Dead Kitty. It is past Halloween. He's actually getting kind of tired. And he had a rough couple nights there. So, hopefully you guys have had an excellent Halloween and are still having a great November 1st. So, what the hell is going on? We got Goldie Hawn saying that she was encountered, she wasn't actually engaged to the aliens, right? But she had this encounter. So let's talk about it. All right. Sorry, my screen's going crazy here. Let's pull this back over. Come on. Oh my God, it's in the middle. It doesn't know where it wants to go. Let's unplug it for a second. So there's a USA report today that came out. It actually came out a couple days ago, and it states that Goldie Hawn was paralyzed by otherworldly beings, and not only paralyzed, but actually had an engaged conversation with them as well. So, okay, Goldie, what the heck happened here? So, she was actually on another podcast on October 23rd, and she stated that in her 20s, she had an encounter with extraterrestrials. She states, but it's interesting, in this article, now this is USA Today, okay? I mean, mainstream media, what are you going to do? But she says she doesn't just believe in aliens, she actually met with aliens and recounted an encounter with extraterrestrials in her 20s. She recalls during this episode gazing up at the sky, wishing to be visited by extraterrestrials. A few months later, she said her wish came true when 2 or 3 beings with triangular heads appeared before her and even touched my face. What? They touched her face? Nobody's allowed to touch Goldie Hawn's face except for Kurt Russell. Now, this is really interesting, just to, not be joking around for a second. Seriously, she was sitting there. She said she was gazing up at the sky, wishing to be visited by extraterrestrials. A few months later, it actually happened. Interestingly enough, now we have what's called CE5 encounters, Close Encounter 5 encounters, where groups of people go into a remote area or an area that's known for UFO activity, and they telepathically try to communicate with these entities to show themselves, to show their craft, to come down, to communicate, to telepathically communicate, or to show themselves to these groups. And these groups have a lot of success. So, is it possible that unknowingly Goldie just happened upon the CE5 technique and did have the encounter that she asked for? They say, be careful what you wish for, you might just get it, and she probably got it because she put it out there in the universe. These people who go off into Hollywood, they seem to almost be targeted. And I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, these people have these encounters. A lot of Hollywood individuals seem to have these encounters. Now, why are we getting all this information from Hollywood? Is it because they're so popular and they have the platforms and people listen to them that they're getting their message out? Is the percentage actually different in the population in Hollywood versus the standard population in America? Probably not. But they just have a lot more voice out in the community, right? So let's get back to her story. Of course, she's uber rich. She does conferences in Beverly Hills, and she states that she was paralyzed when otherworldly beings appeared. So she says that, okay, I saw all of these stars, and all I could think of was, how far does this go? How small are we? Are we the only planet in the whole wide universe that has life on it? I apologize. I know you're out there, she says. I know we're not alone, and I would like to meet you one day. That's what she said when she was out there engaging and trying to communicate with these aliens. Months later, while sleeping in a fellow dancer's car in West Covina, Han says she was awoken by a high-pitched sound. Now, this is interesting because Sammy Hagar also stated that he had a high-pitched sound when he was communicated to by aliens. So there's something with a high-pitched frequency, and I hear this a lot, and they call it tinnitus. But you gotta wonder if it's not just a frequency that you're receiving, not necessarily always from aliens, but maybe from a higher source. So anyway, she says it was a high frequency, so an uber high frequency. She looked out the window and saw these 2 or 3 triangular-shaped heads. Now, this is why I am very interested in this story, not only because it's Goldie Hawn, and everybody loves Goldie Hawn, but the triangular-headedness of these beings is very interesting because aliens like this, these guys, these are not triangular heads. These are oval, egg-shaped heads, right? Your typical grays. A triangular head is triangular. Tri meaning 3, and angles meaning angles. Very specific geometry. It's not common. It's very unique, and it's not natural. But there are golden head-shaped beings that I did a podcast on a few years ago, and maybe I'll republish it so it can go along with this one and update it. But they were 7 to 10 feet tall. These beings were very Matrix-like. They had a lot of magic around them, a lot of high technology around them. So, did she have a same encounter with these same type of beings? Those beings were very, very different than a lot of other beings. We don't hear about 7 to 10 foot tall golden triangular headed beings. We don't hear about them, right? Very, very uncommon. It's almost like they stopped by Earth to visit the zoo and then left, because we don't hear a lot of those reports. You know, we hear tons of grays, tons of reptilian, tons of Nordic, all those guys. We don't hear about the tall golden ones. The beings Han described as were silver with a slash for a mouth and a tiny little nose. She engaged with an animated conversation, or engaged in an animated conversation, and even pointed in Han's direction. They pointed at me in the car as if they were discussing me, like I was a subject they were droning in on. I could not move. I was paralyzed. Afterwards, she thought, these memories have to be just a dream, right? It can't be real. Han said the alien touch, when they touched her face, it felt like the finger of God. It wasn't until years later that Han became aware of others who reported having experiences similar to her own, which made her rethink what she went through. Han eventually talked with an astrophysicist at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign who was researching alien encounters. The conversation unlocked memories of Han's encounter, some of which she said she had never before recalled. That's what's interesting. When they get into these times where they can focus in on the memory, they can start to pick out little pieces they forgot about. It's easy to gloss over a memory, but then once you really dive into it or get hypnotically regressed and you can solely focus in on that memory, you can start to pick out little pieces, definitive pieces of information that they're just not in your conscious mind because we're so focused and busy with everything else. So suddenly she said, I remembered something. They touched my face, and it felt like the finger of God. It felt like the most benevolent, loving feeling. Now, isn't that interesting? Are they actually benevolent, or was it just this alien was conveying that thought so that she would not react negatively? Can we convey thoughts to lesser beings on the planet, right? Can humans pretend to love something and pretend to give off a loving vibe, or can like a dog or a cat, right? Can they feel your fakeness? That's what I wonder, and I think they can. So it almost makes me believe that these aliens are actually benevolent. These particular aliens. I'm not talking about all, just the ones that Goldie was engaged with. She states it was the most benevolent, loving feeling. It was powerful, and it was filled with light. So all of that makes me feel like these guys were benevolent. There are some people that believe that reptilians can make you believe things that you don't want to believe. They can place things in your mind that you don't want to believe. Same thing with the insectoids or the praying mantis-like beings. They can put things into your mind, but in this case, it just seems too good, and I don't want to believe that it's a negative experience. Who would want to hurt Goldie? She's a wonderful person. I wouldn't want any negative entities to try to mess with her. And she says it wasn't the only encounter Han recalled experiencing. She said during a trip years later to the London village of Avebury, Han recalled dreaming of 6 lights coming upon a little mountains across a valley. Before, she stated her and a friend drove to a place similar in her dream where a crop circle had sprung up in the shape of a heart. Dude, she's had a lot of experiences. This is not the only alien experience. These guys are communicating with her, guys. This is really cool. She says, I've collected hearts my whole life. I built a house of hearts. I've done everything with hearts. I looked at this and thought, I don't know anything, but if this is a sign, I'll take it. So this is really fascinating. Okay, I'm going to recall this event. I kind of skimmed over it really quickly. So she says years later when she was in a London village, she dreamt of 6 lights coming upon some little mountains over a valley or across a valley. This was an area that her and her friend, Goldie and her friend, had driven to a place similar in her dream, where a crop circle had sprung up in the shape of a heart. So not only is she having dreams about these aliens, but she's going to places where these crop circles are just popping up out of nowhere. This is really amazing. I mean, we see crop circles pop, after the fact, not during the fact. I know a lot of people will say, oh, crop circles, anybody can create those, and there are a lot of proven hoaxes, but there's a lot of them out there that people don't have an explanation for, and there's actually singed burning and things like that they do chemical testing on, where they prove that those are actually real, or at least can't be created by humans. So she's having these heart crop circles just pop up. It's popped up. Now, she's not saying it happened later, she saw it, but no, it happened when she was there. Okay. So, Goldie Hawn is married to none other than Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell was the man who first reported seeing the 1997 Phoenix Lights. So these guys really are engaging in aliens in so many different ways. Are they kind of like ambassadors to the alien population? Probably not. They just have the platform to be able to communicate with us. Now, one could argue Kurt Russell did play Ego the Living Planet, which was an alien in Guardians of the Galaxy. Great movie. And he plays lots of other roles in movies such as The Thing back in 1982. But they're probably not aliens. Okay, at least not to my knowledge. I mean, Kurt Russell does look pretty badass in a mustache and Tombstone, but I don't think he's an alien. I do think that the amazing experiences that people have are able to be communicated to us through these celebrities because they have the capability and the platform to do so. So I think these guys should write a book, in my opinion. I mean, they have so many pieces to the puzzle. I think they could just write a book about it. She says, "We can never ever lose our wonder. It's just so fun. It's really an important aspect of being an adventurer where nothing is impossible." I think that's what's interesting here is that she has this mindset where nothing is impossible. I can communicate with aliens. I want to communicate with aliens. I want to communicate with different species. She has a loving vibe. And sometimes aliens are driven towards people who have these higher vibrations and people who make the push to go chase their dreams out in Hollywood and become successful. They have all of these different energies around them. Some people can say they're negative, some people can say they're positive. Just depends on the individual person and what they have within them. You know, how strong a person they are. And I think Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell are both very strong individuals that have the capability to stay strong and to put their message out there and to report aliens. So I think this is really a fascinating story. I think that even though she described them as gray, I think these are a different type of alien. And she said that when they touched her, that she felt safe, that she felt very powerful, that it was very loving, that it was a light energy. She didn't say she was abducted. She didn't say they took her up into a spaceship. She didn't say they experimented on her. They just touched her. Now, this is very interesting. I'll wrap this up. This is very interesting because Uri Geller also stated that his powers came from a light in the sky. He was laying in a field, and a light in the sky came out, and he believes it was a UFO, and this energy was given to him. This power was given to him. Was he abducted? He doesn't say. He doesn't say he was or wasn't. But I think it's really fascinating because sometimes you can get these entities and these energies straight from just laying outside in the sky and just getting this power into you. And I'll leave it at that. I think that this is a really cool story. What do you think? Do you think it's real? Do you think that certain people in Hollywood are given gifts from the aliens? Do you think that certain people in Hollywood see aliens more than the standard population? I don't know. But I do think they have a platform to do it. We'll leave it at that, guys. Interesting story. I love to hear these celebrities come out and give us their information. It's happening more and more. So we'll continue to report it as it comes out. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Hopefully an alien gives you some positive light, just like Goldie did. And she's such a lovely, fun, bouncy, lightful being. And I think she brings a lot of positivity to people. And it just makes me wonder if the alien just didn't encourage her to continue to give her light to the rest of us. So I hope you have a positive, lightful, wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. I'll bring you another podcast soon. And take care of your physical health, spiritual health, emotional health. Follow through on your hobbies and goals and your dreams. And as always, continue to question the universe around me. Please like, follow, share, and have a great day. Lockdown Universe out.